Ooh. Okay, y'all. Hey, here with another review for Selling Tampa, Season 1, Episode 2. So, let's get into it. Okay. I'm sorry, I gotta go all the way to the top. All right, so we're at the office, okay? And Sherelle comes in and they all go to the back so that they can have, a little meeting. Now, in this meeting, they talk about, like I said, what happened last episode, and Sherelle talks about how everybody did pretty much a really, really good job. But she did say that she had to clock some people over what they were wearing because it was very much so club attire. And the person she was talking to was who? Colony. Didn't I say the first episode that I thought that what Anne had on could be considered the club, but it also could be considered like she was on a nice date. But Colony straight had on a club dress. So thank you so much for calling that out. So then Anne speaks up. Speaks up and says that her client wants to put in a bid on the home. Now, Tennille says, well, if you do get any commission off of that, I mean, if you actually do sell this home, I should get part commission because you were late. And I was the one who pretty much gave him the specs to the house. And I always wondered, how does that work? Like, I'm going to assume it's to the discretion of the actual agent whether or not they want to cut somebody else a check. But I feel like in that type of position, in that predicament, what I'll say is, like Tennille said, even if you just give me a dinner or something, like I think that would be appropriate. But anyway, Sherelle says, well, how much, what was his bid for the house? And she said it's $3 million. Now the house itself is worth $8.5 million, or at least that's what they put it up for, $8.5 to $9 million. So Sherelle says that $3 million is pretty much an insult to the buyer, and she doesn't think that she should submit that because that's going to make them look bad. Like, and I can see that as the brokerage. If my client comes to me and says, I want to sell this home for $10 million. Now I can give them a little wiggle room, maybe give you 9, maybe even 8.5. But to say $4 million or $3 million, less than half, that's absolutely ridiculous. And as that client, I would be like, why are you even bringing that shit to me? That doesn't even make any sense. So yeah, I understand. So Anne says, well, it's better than nothing because nobody else came to the table with the offer. True, but your offer pretty much might as well just be nothing, if that makes sense. So then Sherelle goes over the new commission split, okay? So previously, the commission split was 95-5. It is now going to 80-20. And Sherelle says that this is for better lead generation, marketing tactics, and technology. Let me tell you something. Baby, the way all of y'all was way too quiet at that table for me. Not Ann. Renna is me. Hold on, baby girl. I couldn't understand if you said, 90-10, maybe something like that. You literally went from a 95-5 split to an 80-20 split. Very interesting. So with that, under the former, commission split that they had where they got the 3%, on a $1 million house, they would get $28,500. Under this new commission split on a $1 million house, they would get $24,000. Now, granted, that's only $4,500 left, but bitch, that's $4,500. That's not a small amount of money that we're talking about. Maybe in Sherelle's world or everybody else's world, that's not a small amount of money, especially if you have children and you got stuff you're trying to do. So Renna pretty much speaks up and she says that she don't understand why. And it's not even so much about the split itself. Renna says that this is the second time that their commission split has changed. So what she wants to understand is, when is there going to be some stability around this bitch? That part I can absolutely understand. Now, I don't know how long Allure Realty has been open. I don't know. But let's just say it's been open like a year. If y'all been open a year and some change, and this is now like your third time changing the commission split, I would have a problem with that too. Granted, it is Sherelle's business. She could do whatever you want to do, but there should be a sense of consistency across the board, especially when it comes to my splits. Okay? And so, Sherelle, so she asked her, I think Rena asked her more about like, what is this money going to? So she said, better lead generations. And she was like, these so-called leads, Rena said. And then Sherelle was like, so I've never given you any leads. I've never given you any leads. And she said 5, Sherelle. You maybe have given me 5 leads. And she was like, and didn't all of those close? And she said, no, only 2 of them closed. Now, I do think that lead generation is important, but I would want to know a little bit more about each of these things. Like, what exactly are we doing to generate better leads? What exactly are we doing to, like, what technology are we upgrading? And what's the new marketing plan that works? Like, I would want to know more in detail about how she plans on using this money that she's splitting. But Sherelle, I guess, gets aggravated. So Sherelle does the very passive aggressive thing and goes, well, you want to know what? You could put time on my calendar if you want to talk. That's extremely passive aggressive, extremely passive aggressive. And it's a very much so way to say, well, bitch, at the end of the day, I'm the boss. So it just is what it is. And if you want to have a conversation, I guess we can, but bitch, not right now. Very passive aggressive, Sherelle. Very much so. Yeah, that's why I have in my notes, ooh, attitude. Yeah, didn't like that. So then we go to Sherelle and Carla. They go to this gym to go and work out. So Sherelle pretty much sits Carla down to ask her why isn't Carla performing well. Carla says that when the pandemic hit, obviously it hit the business and the real estate market really hard. A lot of her clients dropped off, and then she said she had broke up with her high school sweetheart. So she had went into like a really deep depression. So Sherelle talks about how she had went through therapy when she first got a divorce and how maybe Carla should try to do the same thing. But she said in the meantime, to pretty much try to give Carla some motivation, she is going to bring Carla with her. She has a new deal with the developer, and she wants to bring Carla in to see if Carla, could sell the house, sell whatever houses he got. So I thought that was really cute that Sherelle brought her in on that because she didn't have to do that. So that was nice of her. So then we go to Ann and Colony. They're looking at this house. Ann is showing, I think, Colony around 5 bedrooms, 4 baths, 1.5 million. So under the new commission, it'll be $47,000. Colony says that maybe Cho will take it, which was the guy in the very first and the last episode that Colony was showing the house to. Then they pretty much talk about the splits and how do they feel about it. Colony says that, now in this part, I'm going to be real. It seemed like to me like Ann did have a little bit of a problem with the splits, but when Colony said, no, I don't have a problem at all, then she kind of like, it seemed like I don't want to say she backpedaled because she never said out her mouth she had a problem with it, but it came off like she was going to say like, I do think that, I do have a little bit of an issue with it, but it seems like Colony being so like, I guess confident and like, no, because if you're out here hustling, then you won't even feel it. I don't find that to be true, but I get what she's saying. And then they both just pretty much talked about how they feel like the only reason why this is happening is because all of the other ladies aren't picking up on their end. And so they're like, we can't be the only people bringing in money. And I thought about that. I really thought about that. I was like, is it maybe the reason why she's changing the splits is because y'all are not bringing in enough money? And if that is the case, then Sherelle needs to start cutting people the hell off. She needs to start holding people to benchmarks. Like, okay, for instance, she just sat down with Carla and obviously Carla hasn't been performing well. Now, understandable, Carla is going through some stuff, but if this been going on for a while, you should have been had that conversation with her to be like, look, girl, you either gonna put up or shut up. Okay? That's what I got from that. So anyway, then we go to Rena and her husband. They're out to eat. Now, Rena says how she is thinking about starting her own company. Home brokerage, because she does have her broker's license now. And she said the reason why is because she feel like she is on the outs with Sherelle and the business as a whole, even though she's been there since the beginning. And she feels like her opinion isn't valued. And she says that she pretty much feels like the split between Sherelle's husband kind of affected their friendship because, like I said, they was next door neighbors. So that means her husband was friends with Sherelle and her husband. So when they split up, Rena's husband is still cool with Sherelle's ex-husband. So she felt like that's part of it too. And that could absolutely be it. This is really like the whole Joe Budden, Rory and Mal situation in a sense of like this. And y'all get in the comments and tell me what you think. How do you feel that, the people, okay, hold on, I'm trying to rephrase this. How do you think these people should be treated? The people who have been with you from like ground zero for something, but isn't necessarily the owner. And that's pretty much what it comes down to. Colony and Renna, from what I get, pretty much was there with Sherelle since the beginning, trying to build up her business. But the thing about it is, listen to what I said, her business, because y'all were not owners. She was the one with the broker's license. Y'all came in under her. Now, y'all might have helped her grow that business, but y'all still technically are not the owners. So the question is, how much of a say should that person have, and how much should you take into consideration? And I guess that's going to vary from person to person. So anyway, so she's pretty much thinking about doing her own thing now. So then we go to Stone Lake Ranch, which is where the developer is showing Sherelle, Joanna, and Carla the land. I think it's 5 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms. So again, Carla's deal is to pretty much bring in some clients. So then we see Joanna, she's outside and she's eating by herself, and she gets on the phone and she FaceTimes her mom. And all we pretty much get from this conversation is that Joanna is going through a divorce. Now, she's getting a divorce from her husband. Now, she didn't tell anybody because she said she does not want to be judged, but that's what she got going on. She getting a divorce. So then finally we have lunch, okay? And we're at lunch and it's Colony, Joanna, no. That's a lie. Colony, Tennille, Renna, Alexis, and Ann. There we go. They were all sitting at a table. Now, they're waiting for the other girls to come. So, they're just talking about what the hell ever. Now, the other girls, so that means, I'm trying to get their names right. So that means Joanna, Sherelle, and Carla, they were on a boat on their way to where the girls was at eating for lunch. So I think one of the questions was like, on the boat was like, oh, do you think that the other girls is going to get mad because you threw Carla, like a bone with this? And she was like, Cheryl was like, no, they shouldn't be, because I throw everybody bones. So, no one should be upset. Baby, Tennille had me cracking the fuck up when they was pulling up. She is funny as hell. I cannot. So they get off the boat and they're like, okay, we see y'all fancy or whatever, like what y'all celebrating. And then, they tell them about the deal that they got with Arturo for the developing people. And the good part, though, is that Sherelle said that they now have access to his entire portfolio. So yes, Carla might be doing this particular house and maybe has a better connection with Arturo, but I think it means now all of the girls have the opportunity to sell his houses if they want to. So Renna, though, says in her confessional that she feels like, yes, this is a really, really, really big deal, but pretty much I feel like she's using this deal to placate us about the commission split. So Renna again brings up the whole thing about commission changing a lot. Now, what I didn't like that Renna did during this part is she said, well, other people have questions too, and I'm pretty much just asking. So Sherelle was like, well, who has a issue? Now, unless there was scenes that was cut out or the girls talked to her behind the scenes or something, it was never shown to us that any of the other girls had a problem. Just saying. So I didn't like that. If you have a problem, you have a problem. Just stick by that. So then Sherelle, they like kind of going back and forth, and Sherelle was like, don't ask questions about what I do. You can leave. And then at this point, Tennille jumps in and was like, see, anytime we ask you something, like, you get upset and you want to shut everything down, and we should be able to ask questions. And I agree. Now, ain't nobody saying that they got to be running your entire business, but Sherelle gets really offended, it seems like, if somebody ever questions her or asks her anything, and it really shouldn't be like that. If I'm working with you, and especially if I worked from the ground up, if I helped you build this from the ground up, I should be able to ask a simple question. And the simple question is, why is it that our commission keeps changing? Like, is there something else in a business that needs to be moved around outside of that? Or is there anything else? And Sherelle doesn't want to answer that. She doesn't have to, but if you want to keep people who want to work with you and stuff like that, you can't just be like that the whole time. But anyway, Joanna then jumps in and says, well, Ann agreed with Renna, because when she was asking at the table, she was nodding her head. And then Ann just literally like snaps for real. She was like, first of all, me nodding my head is because I'm doing active listening. You should try active listening. How about that? Okay. But don't sit up over here and say that I have a problem with the commission because I did not have a problem with the commission. You might as well shut up. I was like, ooh. Okay, Ann. Go off. Yes, ma'am. So she pretty much got Joanna together because I think Joanna was just trying to be messy at that time. So again, so Renna comes, we go back to Renna, and Renna was just like, I'm just saying, if we all building this together, right? And Cheryl's like, yeah. She said, I don't understand why we can't hear more. So then Cheryl says in her confessional, well, maybe if y'all was producing more, I wouldn't have to. And that's my thing. Then say that. If the problem is that the girls as a whole ain't producing, why are you like doing all of this other stuff? Why don't you just come be a real HBIC, step to the table and be like, look, ladies, I'm going to just tell you just like this. All of y'all are doing really, really, really well. But as a whole group, and then some of y'all I will speak to individually, y'all got to step it up. And because right now everybody ain't performing to the best of their ability, I have to change the splits. And once we get to a good place where everybody is selling and doing what they're supposed to do, then we can put the splits back. But for right now, for me to continuously grow this business, I have to change the splits. What's so hard about just saying it like that? That's being real. That's being real. I don't get it. Anyway, so then Sherelle, I guess, gets frustrated and she walks off with Joanna. And Joanna tells her that she's getting a divorce. Sherelle is so upset. And then, you know, the way I look at it, the way that the episode ended is like Joanna and Sherelle are sitting at the bar while the other girls are still just sitting at the table. And it's like, see, you're already creating separation to a degree. Like, that's unnecessary. I don't freaking know. Y'all get in the comments and y'all tell me what y'all think. I'm out. Bye.